This is a repeat of a request that we saw back in 2009 that was ultimately denied by the county commission at that time. What is at stake and at the heart of this request is what you see on the screen outlined in black, which is the very northern end of the golf course, Francis Lake Golf Course, where they want to try to change it to a non-residential zoning. Their request in this case is to go to general commercial CG zoning, which to the west is highway commercial. That's that red color. That's the highest commercial we have. CG is our middle grade commercial, and then all around it in yellow, that's R10 residential zoning. What you have here is just a close-up, and what I wanted to show you is just the surrounding property owners, specifically because I believe the primary reason why we're here is because that western property that you see is Bud Commercial Real Estate. Mr. Bud has a proposed tenant and a proposed sale for that property to Family Dollar. The problem with that proposed tenant and that sale is the layout that Family Dollar wants is going to require Rodger to acquire some additional property to the east of that, more likely to square that off in a rectangular shape. It's kind of got an odd trapezoid shape right now. In order to do that, Rodger approached the adjacent property owner, which is Lowndes County, or Francis Lake Golf Course, or J.R. Leonard Jr. And through those negotiations, even though he needs about 50 to 100 feet of property, Rodger agreed to buy the entire 4-acre piece that's in question right now. So I believe his main motivation is to allow Family Dollar to locate on his property. But in addition to that, he's also looking long-term speculative for this particular property. So I think you have two things going on, but that is why I believe we're seeing this again. If Family Dollar does not have such a deal with Mr. Bud, I don't think this case is before you. That's his main motivation. Since the Planning Commission meeting, we had two people speak in opposition. Since that time, that opposition has ramped up, and I've had at least 6 people either come by the office or call me regarding their opposition. We've received 1 letter of opposition, which you have in your packets, and 1 petition that we verified of about 38 properties who signed that particular petition. You also have a map within your packets where Valor went through and actually showed you where those property owners designated their address as.
Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Jason and staff for outstanding job in trying to make these accommodations. I noticed on the northeastern portion of the said property, there are 3 vacant lots. Have we heard anything from that property owner, since that's the only other property owner that I really see touching the area?
I have not heard from the property owners directly about developing it, but I have heard secondhand about their plans potentially to do something with those lots, non-residential related. But I have not heard directly from those property owners about their plans for those properties. But I do believe they're watching this case to see what happens.
I guess what I'm wondering is the berm that you're speaking of, is it going to start from the road and come all the way back, basically, from the highway and come all the way back?
Yes, sir. I understand your question. And if the conditions are approved as is, yes, sir, it would go all the way from Lakes Boulevard down that entire eastern side.
And the applicant is Leonard, right? He's the actual owner of the property. And even if, say, if it was entertained to be approved, what have you, he still owns it. We don't know what's really going to be done with it at the end of the day. It's just, the objective is to rezone it.
We've checked into an ownership, sir, and Lowndes County is actually a partnership between Mr. John Leonard Jr. and his mother. And so that partnership is who the current owners are. They have a contract with Mr. Bud to purchase the property. But if that contract fell apart, Mr. Bud did not accept the terms, etc., then yes, Mr. Leonard and his mother would own the property with these conditions in the zoning if it's approved as such.
I will call first for anyone that would like to speak in opposition, and you will be limited to 5 minutes for each one of your speakers. And at this point in time, I probably would limit it to no more than 5 individuals to speak. So at this time, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request?
My name is Cheryl Oliver. I'm a homeowner at 5366 Valdosta Trail. and my husband Jack owns property at 5310 Moss Oak Trail, and we do live together in one house. Mr. Chairman, we have a petition in addition to the one submitted. This is from members of the Francis Lake AME Church, just handed to me recently. May I present this
To the clerk.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, thank you for giving us this opportunity to voice our concerns about an issue that we feel will have a critical impact on our neighborhood. Well, here we are again in the age-old dispute between homeowners who want to protect their property values and their quality of life, and a developer who proposes to intrude on a quiet golf course community with commercial establishments on adjoining land.
My name is Gloria Kent. I live at 5303 Moss Oak Trail. I've lived there for 37 years. I have come to read a letter that Rolla Hendrickson has written. He lives at 5319 Moss Oak Trail, probably a little under 20 years, 15 to 20 years. I'm in total agreement, so I have nothing to add other than to read his letter and would like to submit it to you. I believe in property rights and individual initiative. However, one of the reasons why zoning commissions exist is to protect the interest of all concerned. I believe adding a business in this location will adjoin residential property owners will lead to lowered real estate values, increased traffic, increased noise, increased pollution, and other potential negative consequences.
But I told her the badge and gun for 48 years. I was going to retire. I love playing golf. And we looked at this house at 3454 Forest Drive, which is, if you ever played golf down there, it's on the number 3 tee box. Right where that map was I want to go. We stood on the back porch before we bought this house. We looked at it 3 or 4 times. We could see the bank, we could see the Lakes Boulevard, we could see them playing golf. So we retired, we went and bought the house. We moved in there about 5 years ago. And we've enjoyed it ever since. But I didn't buy it intending to look at the back of a shopping center after spending all my time working. I wanted to retire and look and enjoy my retirement. And you can't do it looking at the back of a building. Now, the shopping center's all to the left over there. But it's on the west side of the golf course, not behind my house, and not behind several of these people's houses. And if we'd love to stay there and look and enjoy our life as long as the good Lord's gonna let us stay here. Thank you.
My name is Reverend Richard E. Temple Jr. I'm the pastor of Francis Lake AME Church, 905 Lakes Boulevard. In speaking, I'm relatively new to the Francis Lake area, being a pastor just assigned there. I want to say something to you. That area of the golf course across the street from the church is absolutely beautiful. I want to say it's the land of milk and honey. It's fruitful. It's alive. There are birds singing. There are all type of animals and mammals out there for the aesthetic view that we see when we go down Lakes Boulevard. There's walking sidewalks where children and adults walk and see that same beauty. But now there's an issue that says someone wants to buy that property and make money off of it.
My property adjoins the property, I just like one quick word, please.
Your property is one of the pieces of property?
Yes.
Okay, then I will allow it. Please come forward. State your name and address, please.
Bobby Miller, I live at 5385 Moss Oak, and I'm really concerned about the safety of my home and my children and myself. It's my main issue. along with the noise pollution, the light pollution, and everything else that'll be going on in my backyard.
All right, at this time, I'd like to ask, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this request? Please come forward, state your name and address.
David Sandback, 1003 North Patterson. I'm an attorney. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Budd. As you know, Commissioners, Mr. Budd is in the development business, and his intention is to develop this area for small retail. He has a tentative agreement with Family Dollar.
Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this request? Okay, hearing none, we'll now close the public participation portion of the hearing, and we'll turn it back over to the commissioners.
There was a condition Mr. Davenport put on by planning and zoning on lighting. Did that not get translated over?
We can move that over, sir. We felt like the buffer and the landscaping and the berm would take care of the lighting issue. But that could be, we believe that would take care of the lighting issue, sir, but we can move that over if you'd like to.
Yeah, definitely. Would like to add that also.
I mean, I think with the berm in place and the trees, I think that is about as good a compromise as you could possibly ask for, and I don't think the property owners have asked for anything unreasonable necessarily. I think with that Winn-Dixie there and the bank there, I don't think it's, obviously there's going to be more traffic there, but I don't know what the expected, customer count per hour during peak business time would be, that it would increase traffic substantially. It would obviously increase it more, but I don't know that it would increase it substantially, but.
If you do vote no on it, then in a year, it can be brought back up again, and then we'd have to go back through the same process with this owner, another owner, or whomever. Is that correct, Mr. Davenport?
Yes, sir.
Are there any other questions? Any other discussion? There's no other discussion, and I'll entertain a motion.
Jason, you're going to move the lighting over?
Yes, sir. The original lighting
The
condition in the
original
TRC.
lighting restriction?
Yes, sir, and that, as it reads, is map 198, parcel 47, which is Ms. Miller's residence, shall be protected from any light pollution from the subject property, for example, headlights from parking spaces or overhead lighting. Yes, sir.
I'll make the motion that we approve it with all 11 conditions in place.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the request with all 11 conditions in place.
Second.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. So it's 3-2. Okay? Motion carries. 3-2.
Annual property and liability renewal. We discussed the safety program and dividends that we're receiving on this next year's renewal process. We also discussed our claims history as well as our loss control plans for the upcoming year with additional defensive driving courses and driving simulators. If there's any additional questions anybody has, I'd be more than happy to answer those.
For the commission's sake, I did ask Mr. Beals about the aggregate